It is Monday, March 11th, 2019. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And it was a very fun, educational, and all that. Get your ass kicked at Jiu-Jitsu Monday. I got a little bit of inspirato out of it. I pulled one or two really slick moves, and I managed to retain my guard a little better than I had anticipated. We were working a little bit of stuff from the butterfly. As a matter of fact, it was smashing the butterfly. And it's funny because I found that I already employ a lot of these, a lot of the stuff that we were covering kind of instinctually. Although one aspect that was kind of formalized in it that I hadn't quote unquote formalized was like if you're like facing your opponent on your knees, they're in their butterfly guard, and they got their hooks in, reaching down and putting the back of your right hand on the front of their right foot and then kind of spinning them out. That was kind of one of those things where I've done it once or twice. I didn't have it provided to me as an example of an actual like technique in jiu-jitsu. And so, well, I don't know. I might have with other moves too, but it's one of those things that I've been doing for a little bit. But what kind of bugged me though is that when we did the sparring that was associated with it, that I wasn't able to get the guard pass that we were instructed on. But I did manage to get several others, which I was quite happy about. And I did manage to retain my guard. Okay, I lost it, I want to say 3, maybe 4 times. But at the same time, I think I took my opponent's guard a couple more times than that. And again, I employed some neat little tricks. The one I can kind of remember was like getting into a mission control, like swapping from a butterfly position or a butterfly guard into like I want to say it's guard, some sort of mission control, and from there progressing into the guard pass. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we did some takedown stuff, which this particular one I liked a little more than some of the ones that we've done before, just because it kind of tucked down a little better, and it felt a little better as far as what it was doing to my arm. Like I got this one spot on my arm where, like, if I'm curling in, it hurts. And some of the collar throws that we've been working on, or hip throws rather, that have a collared element in them, kind of hurt me. So it was a little bit of a relief off of that muscle, and so it was a little more comfortable for me. And I don't know, I felt pretty natural stepping into it too. We did we did one where you slide in with the underhook, right? And you get the underhook, and then you bring your hip around, and you got the back of the arm, and you just throw them up and over. But this one, you kind of sweep with your right foot at the same time, and it adds a surprising amount of power to that hip throw. You know, I mean, a normal hip throw is powerful enough, but when you add just that little sweep, and it's not even really a sweep, you're just like moving your leg back. But I think it's the because it changes the position of your hips against your opponent in such a way that, I don't know, it just slides out from behind them, and they don't have that to kind of hold back their progress going over your hip then. I think that's pretty much the reason why it works the way it does. All I do know is I was able to slam the shit out of my opponent with it, but I did refrain. I mean, I felt like in the movement that, man, if I stepped through on that right and crouched down and got everything right, I could probably throw somebody into next week with that thing. I mean, really, there's just that much power, that much torsion involved, man. Just zip that fucker right off his feet. Anyway, but yeah, it was an altogether good day. I wanted to go to the early AM class, but for some fucking reason, man, I set 2 alarms. I did not wake up. So, that just didn't happen. But I did manage to get in on the evening class, so, I redeemed myself. And I don't know. It's always a jolt for me coming back into jiu-jitsu for the week. Although I did go to class yesterday, and it was funny. I was paired up against a blue belt coming to us from another jiu-jitsu gym, which shall be unnamed at this point. And she was very, very good. It was funny because she was wearing a blue belt, and there's blue belts and then there's blue belts. It's like the major transition belt when you're going from just the average Joe that comes in the door to the guy that is probably going to die with a belt around his waist. Or is at least vastly more likely to. There has to be like some sort of life tragedy that ends your jiu-jitsu journey, And so it come to find out she's been a blue belt for 2 years. So it's not and this particular dojo is very well known for kind of being lackadaisical about rank progression, and they're more about competency and stuff. But anyway, for multitude of reasons, she should probably be wearing a purple belt. Either way, so it's funny. We started sparring, and this is during the open mat session, and we were kind of going back and forth, and she said, "Oh, this is my first time back in like 6 months," which I don't know that I actually believe. She's very, very crisp, but knowing the place that she usually trained at, it's entirely likely that this was her first time back in 6 months. Either way, I almost got my ass handed to myself. I was very, very defensive for the majority of the time. So, I consider that a credit to her training and her capabilities, honestly, because I'm not exactly a small person, and I'm quite strong. So, even given the fact that I was trying my hardest not to use strength, I was trying to use more my body position and pressure. And that did seem to be working against her. Of course, there's a size advantage. But I'll tell you what, I didn't really feel compelled to, quote-unquote, take it easy. Because, honestly, she was dealing me some very professional energy. It's like she knew what the fuck she was doing. This wasn't like patty cake, This wasn't some casual session for her, and that's cool. Oh, it was, but at the same time, she's very, very good. So, like, we were kind of jabbering back and forth, and I'm like, this will probably be a race to see which one of us pulls guard first. No, she just took me down. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's going to be that way. And it's funny because the particular takedown that she did, the ending progression is you're on your opponent's back and you're threatening the choke. I was able to stall it just before she got there, and she was like 3/4 of the way there. She did have me on my back for just a moment, but I did manage to shuffle the one leg out from under me, get my hips up under her thigh on the one side. But I'll say this. My first instinct was to trap one leg and get her into half guard. And honestly, that's all that saved me, because if I hadn't been able to capture her leg, she would have been able to progress further up my shoulders and sink in that choke. But that's my thing, man. It's like if somebody gets on your back, get one of their legs and wrap around it. Then push down on the knee, rotate into them, and try to get onto a dominant position on the half guard. Because otherwise, they're just going to end up on top. They're just going to end up choking you. I mean, that's pretty much it. You know, because the progression for them from there is to work up your back, maybe pin down one of your arms by looping their leg around your arm, and then pinning it behind your back, and then finishing off that choke. You know, at their leisure. That's no good for you. Why you want to do that? And so, yeah, like I said, first things first, always grab a leg. And one trick I found to do this, and I think this is how I got her leg, is that, like, you know, they're on your back and they got their hooks in, right? And you're like, oh fuck, I can't reach the leg. You know, I can't get wrapped around the leg. Really neat little trick is if you can get onto your side and just pick a side, one or the other. What'll happen is the ground, when you roll into them, the ground will push their knee and their thigh to where you can grab a hold of it by hooking around it with your calf. And that is the progression. Once you get there, secure one arm on the choking arm, right? If they're that deep in on you, which she was not. I kept her stalled at a safety belt position. But anyway, if they got that choking arm around, go ahead and drag it down with one hand at the elbow there, and then start working on that knee. You know, whether it's right or left side, push down on the knee, rotate into them. You know, try to snuggle your shoulder out from under them, and then if you can do that, bring the other leg over the top, and now you've assumed a dominant half guard position as opposed to somebody being on your back. And that's been an instinctual thing for me for a very long time. It's like, oh shit, somebody's going for my back. Okay, well, you know, try and keep my elbows as tight to their shins as possible, you know, because that prevents them from getting the right angle for a few chokes. There are a couple that they can still get from there, and so it's really important to keep your chin tucked down too, right? And then I like to do things like, you know, maybe reach both arms under one of the legs, right? If I can get down close enough to the legs, reach both arms under one of the legs, and then just buck with that, right? You're going to pop those arms and shoot between those legs. But then again, it's only if you're really strong enough, or if you're able to maybe, if you can get your arms there, rock back and pushing their thighs back toward their body, and trying to rock forward from there, and get that left arm, that left shoulder out from under the arm. I'm thinking, you know, if you were going for the left leg, right, and kind of shuffle it over to the side. But, you know, then again, you got to watch out that they don't grab your collar, and make sure that, you know, you're fully clear on your arms, because they could just as easily get your arm and throw you right into a triangle, and then that's no good either. But nonetheless, like I said, it was a very spirited match, and I think we both left each other a little heavier of breath at the end, and yeah, I welcome it again. It was fun. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down into some music, and I've been opening up with body count. Maybe not this time. I think we can go with something a little different, at least for our first dance. Let's see here. No, that one's not really proven to be true for me here. Here it is. Disturbed, Indestructible, First Dance, here on Coin Metal. And that was Ministry with Rio Grande Blood. Yeah, I was gonna carry it over with one more song, but I decided not to. It's already late enough. Anywho, as far as what we're going to get into today, I got a whole bunch of tabs open, and I thought this one was kind of funny because it exposes at least one of the aspects of centralization that I think not enough people pay attention to, and it's exposure to the market. You know, when something is released, you know, be it hardware or software, there's a duration of time that it's out on the market before somebody figures out a way to compromise the damn thing. And we've seen this in mining hardware. We've seen this in all kinds of hardware in cryptocurrency. And it's like people forget that we are talking about money here. You know, you can sell it for money. You can use it as money in some markets. So, you know, the temptation to try and get the money without actually having to work for it or being the legitimate owner of it is very, very high. Always has been. You know, it's funny, I talk a lot about some of the videos that I watch on YouTube with the old man. And one of the things we watch is magnet fishing. And this is a big practice, I guess, in Europe and in the UK and whatnot. Going around to old wells and ponds and creeks and whatnot, and having really, really powerful magnets attached to really, really heavy ropes and throwing them out into the water and then dragging them back. And it's really interesting what kind of shit people throw in the water to try and get rid of it, right? Well, one of the things I noticed in, I think it was canals of the UK, that they kept finding a shit ton of was safes. You know, of course, they'd all been compromised and broken into. They didn't have any money left in them, but safes. All kinds of safes. And so this is one of those things. You know, it's like if there was no money in the safe, there would be no temptation to steal the safe, break it open, and then throw it into a river to get rid of the evidence, right? So here we go. This is on thebitcoinnews.com. Ledger reveals physical exploits against Trezor hardware wallets. And this is on March 12th, 2019. And let's see if this is actually an aggregated article, because you know what? I'm going to go ahead and open this other. I want to see if this is just an aggregated shit. No, this is something else. Well, something similar. It was authored on the 3rd of November 2019. That's weird. We haven't even gotten there yet. Wow. Oh no, this is March 11th, 2019. Okay, they put the day first and then the month. God, I was thinking this is from the future, like way in the future, right? Anyway, let's get back to this article here. The battle of hardware wallets is heating up. At this weekend's MIT Bitcoin Expo in Boston, Charles Goulmet, Chief Security Officer of Ledger, presented a number of physical attacks that could be executed against Trezor hardware wallets. He outlined an attack on their rival's device that Ledger has refrained from making public because it is not patchable. Ledger CSO runs a train on Trezor. Like any self-respecting hardware wallet manufacturer, Ledger rigorously pen tests its own devices in search of potential vulnerabilities. The French firm's Paris hacking lab, known as Ledger Donjon, doesn't just dissect its own wares. It also thoroughly attacks those of its fiercest rival, Trezor. While identifying and disclosing a competitor's vulnerabilities might seem counterintuitive, it yields abrasive benefits, highlighting potential weaknesses in the opposition and emphasizing Ledger's offensive prowess. I'm going to check something out really quick here. It seems like my program going to have to close it down, reopen it again. Every once in a while my program cheeses out on me here and gotta reconnect and all that. Anyway, fortunately for us, it's not actually actually connected to the recording, so there we go. Seamless. Just we haven't had any fucking music in the background, so we gotta fix that, of course. There we go. Alright. And where were we? Within hours of Ledger CSO Charles Gourmet presenting at MIT Bitcoin Expo in 2019, where he described the Trezor 1, Trezor T, Keep Key, and B wallet as completely broken, insisting that there was no way to fix their security flaws. His employer published, quote, "Our shared security responsibility disclosing competitor vulnerabilities." The article explains how, quote, "About 4 months ago, we contacted Trezor to share 5 vulnerabilities our attack lab uncovered. As always, we gave Trezor a responsible disclosure period to work on those vulnerabilities, even granting them 2 extensions. With the disclosure period having now expired, Ledger proceeds to gleefully reveal what it found upon pen testing its rivals' devices. 4 vulnerabilities fully disclosed. In total, Ledger claims to have found 4 major vulnerabilities in Trezor's flagship wallets. The first of these concerns the, quote, genuineness of the device. Trezor HWs have previously been shown to be susceptible to cloning, prompting the company to improve its tamper-proof stickers to provide guidelines on how to detect ersatz devices. Trezor's response to this, quote, vulnerability was to point out that users will not be exposed to this risk provided they purchase devices directly from the Trezor website. The second attack identified involved a weakness in the PIN number used to secure Trezor HWs. Ledger explained, quote, "On a found or stolen device, it is possible to guess the value of the PIN using a side-channel attack. This entails entering a random PIN and then measuring the power consumption of the device when it compares the code with the actual value of the PIN. Quote, this measurement allows an attacker to retrieve the correct value of the PIN within only a few tries, less than 5 in our case," reported Ledger. Quote, "We found that the PIN does not protect the funds against an attacker with physical access to the device." Meaning the feds can brute force your shit. The final 2 vulnerabilities involve the confidentiality of the data stored within the devices, primarily the private key and the seed. This exploit, involving the flash memory, was deemed the most serious since, quote, "It can only be circumvented by overwhelming the design of the Trezor 1/Trezor T and replacing one of its core components to incorporate the secure element chip as opposed to the general purpose chip currently used." Ledger continued, "This vulnerability cannot be patched. For this reason, we have elected not to disclose its technical details. It could also be mitigated by users adding a strong passphrase to their device." A 5th, less serious vulnerability was also disclosed. Trezor released firmware security updates last week, which it acknowledged to have been discovered by Charles Gourmet and the Ledger Donjon team. It stressed that exploiting the vulnerabilities required physical access to the device, adding that there is no evidence to suggest, quote, "any of these vulnerabilities have ever been exploited outside of the lab to extract any data." Last week, Twitter and Square CEO Jack Dorsey revealed that he had purchased a Trezor hardware wallet. Yeah, good for him. So yeah, there we go. I think it's a legitimate concern to endeavor in with regard to penetration testing your opponent's hardware. I think it's actually incumbent upon these individuals to do exactly that. Mostly because it lends credibility to the seriousness of your project. You know, how serious are you? If you're penetration testing and securing access to other people's funds on your opponent or your competitor's devices, you're probably doing the same rigorous testing on your own, or at least one would hope, right? But yeah, I think the fact that they waited as long as they did to bother disclosing it is pretty good on them too. You know, it shows that this was all done in earnest. You know, that there wasn't any malice involved here. But I would have also liked to have seen the pen testing results for the other rivals involved. Because as I recall, it wasn't just Trezor that they'd found vulnerabilities for, and that they called the rest of them quote-unquote broke. Oh, let's see here. Where is it? The French firm's Paris hacking lab known as Ledger Donjon doesn't just dissect its own wares, it also thoroughly attacks those of its fiercest rival, Trezor. Okay. I got the impression they were saying that multiple manufacturers of hardware wallets were quote-unquote broke. Let's see here. Just checking and verifying. Where the hell? Okay. Oh, alright. They were all Trezor wallets. I don't know. I think that, again, it's like this. If you were to have a Trezor, right, and it were to get hacked, you'd probably have a bad taste in your mouth with regard to hardware wallets altogether, because your experience of them was fucked up by the fact that Trezor didn't bother to patch this well-known vulnerability or this disclosed to them vulnerability, and then somebody exploited it. You know, it's like, again, that doesn't reflect well on any other hardware device, you know, such as a wallet, a B wallet, or a Trezor T, or a Keep Key, or any of that. But again, that could also leach over to Ledger's rank of customers and clients. They might experience something with a Trezor, and again, that would make them think, oh God, you know, all these people are really fucking off with my money. I'm just not going to trust hardware wallets altogether, and that would cost Ledger in the future. So that there is something to be said for them taking on their competitors and their rivals in such a way. However, I would like to see as much effort, or at least as much disclosure of the results of their efforts of attacking other such devices, because there are more than two manufacturers of hardware wallets out there. I think it's kind of silly myself, just because you can already fit so much of that kind of stuff onto a cell phone. And as a matter of fact, I've got one other article here. Oh yeah, that's the one that I wanted to talk about. But this one right here was a reference back to that last one. This is on Ledger's website, ledger.fr. Our shared security, responsibility, disclosing competitor vulnerabilities. I'm kind of eager to see what this perspective is, really. And this is on the 11th of March, 2019. Security is at the forefront of everything we do at Ledger. It's embedded in every product we sell and in every decision we make. Each and every day, we challenge ourselves to create technology and products that are better and more secure. Our first priority is providing our customers with state-of-the-art security through Ledger's hardware wallets, IoT, and institutional investment offerings. However, as the global leader in blockchain security solutions, we believe that our commitment to security extends beyond just ourselves. With some of the most innovative technology in the world and in an unparalleled team, we have a responsibility to enhance security throughout the entire blockchain ecosystem whenever possible. A shared commitment to security not only helps to better protect assets for individuals and institutions, but also to foster much needed trust throughout the crypto landscape. Actually, you do that by following through. If your ship fails or fails to do what you say it does or is supposed to do according to the way you say it's supposed to do it, that's not something that's a market thing. That's you. You gotta make good. Anyway, continuing. As detailed in our previous blog, Ledger's world-class security team, Ledger Donjon, has an attack lab in our Paris HQ where we hack into our own as well as competitors' devices to expose security vulnerabilities. With the interest of security for the entire community in mind, we also share the tools and best practices that we deploy, such as our side channel analysis library Lascar, and simulation tool Rainbow. We are currently attempting to hack into our own devices to ensure that we maintain the highest standards of security and get in front of new methods from increasingly sophisticated attackers. We deploy these same methods to our competitors' devices because we have a shared responsibility in guaranteeing a high level of security for the entire industry. Critically, when addressing the security of competing products, we always follow the principles of responsible disclosure, informing the impacted party of any vulnerability of their products that our attack lab might find and giving them time to find a fix. It is important to follow responsible disclosure protocols before going public with any information to ensure that the vulnerability is not exploited by hackers before the issue can be resolved. Notably, about 4 months ago, we contacted Trezor to share 5 vulnerabilities our attack lab uncovered. As always, we gave Trezor a responsible disclosure period to work on these vulnerabilities, even granting them 2 extensions. The analysis encompassed both Trezor's hardware wallets, Trezor 1, Trezor T, focusing on the Trezor 1. It also applies to clones of Trezor wallets. We responsibly disclose these vulnerabilities to the vendor, allowing them to take appropriate measures for protecting their users. Now that the responsible disclosure period, including the 2 extensions, has expired, we want to share details with you in the spirit of full awareness and transparency. A full recap of the results can be found below. Vulnerability. Number 1. Genuineness of this device. Overview. The genuineness of the device is a paramount property to ensure that the device is authentic. Findings. Our analysis found that the genuineness of a Trezor device can be imitated. We were able to manufacture fake devices which are exact clones of the genuine one, same components, same hardware architecture, same look and feel. We were also able to open the box of a device, backdoor the device, and reseal the box, even with the tamper-proof sticker, aimed at protecting against such attacks. In this case, an attacker has complete control over the code running on the rogue device. For instance, it's possible to, number 1, precede the device. Number 2, backdoor it with a malware which sends the crypto assets to another device, or another address rather. Number 3, insert cryptographic flaws to get access to the crypto assets. Number 4, backdoor it with a malware which extracts the seed. Even if the user buys their Trezor device directly online from Trezor's websites, he/she cannot be sure. An attacker could buy several devices, backdoor them, and then send them back, asking for reimbursement using withdrawal period. Result: this vulnerability was reported to Trezor, who stated that it is out of their security model, citing that users won't be exposed to this issue if they purchase their products directly from the Trezor website, as Trezor recommends. In our view, this vulnerability can only be patched by overhauling the design of the Trezor 1 and replacing one of its core components to incorporate a secure element chip as opposed to the general purpose chip currently used. To our knowledge, this vulnerability is still active as of this publication. Number 2, secure PIN protection. The PIN overview. The PIN gives access to the device and thus funds protected by the device. The current implementation gives 15 tries to the user with an exponential waiting time. This function should be tamper resistant. Findings. Our security analysis found that on a found or stolen device, it is possible to guess the value of the PIN using a side channel attack. This side channel attack consists of presenting a random PIN and then measuring the power consumption of the device when it compares the presented PIN with the actual value of the PIN. The measurement allows an attacker to retrieve the correct value of the PIN within only a few tries, less than 5 in our case. We found that the PIN does not protect the funds against an attacker with physical access to the device. Result: reported to Trezor on 11/20/2018, this vulnerability has been patched by Trezor in the firmware update 1.8.0. Vulnerability 3 and 4. Confidentiality of data inside the device applies to Trezor 1 and Trezor T. Overview. The confidentiality of the data inside the device is paramount since it contains all the private information giving access to the user's funds. The private key, the seed, the hardware wallet must act as a security enclave for this data. Findings. Our analysis found that an attacker with a physical access to the device can extract all of the data stored within the flash memory and therefore deplete all accounts from their assets. Our attack applies on Trezor 1 and Trezor T as well. Pardon me there. Result: reported to Trezor. In our view, this vulnerability cannot be patched. It can only be circumvented by overhauling the design of the Trezor 1/Trezor T and replacing one of its core components to incorporate a secure element chip as opposed to the general purpose chip currently used. This vulnerability cannot be patched. For this reason, we have elected not to disclose its technical details. It could also be mitigated by users adding a strong passphrase to their device. Vulnerability number 5. Analysis of the cryptographic stack. Overview. We analyzed the implementation of the crypto library of the Trezor 1. While we found that this library does not contain proper countermeasures against hardware attacks except for the scalar multiplication function, which could be a cause for concern in its own right, we focused on the aforementioned scalar multiplication. This function is the main cryptographic operation for cryptocurrencies, as it is the one used for most critical operations involving secret keys. In its code, the function is claimed to be protected against side channel attack, which we wanted to evaluate. Findings. Our security analysis found that an attacker with a physical access to the device can extract the secret key using side channel attacks when this key is used by the scalar multiplication. Scalar multiplication is one of the core functions for cryptography in cryptocurrency. In particular, this is the core function for signing transactions. We proved that with a digital oscilloscope and a few measurements, it's possible to extract the key of a transaction using side channel analysis. Result. This vulnerability was reported to Trezor. This vulnerability can be patched, but also does not directly affect Trezor's security model, since this operation cannot be triggered without knowing the device's PIN beforehand. It was, however, claimed to be secure against side channel attacks, which unfortunately proved incorrect. Yeah, and so there you have it. A little broader description of exactly what we were talking about with regard to hardware vulnerabilities in the Trezor. But I got another angle that I want to go with this, and it's kind of an addendum. But this to me is kind of interesting because it says to me that Samsung can't actually tell which way the development path of Bitcoin is going to go. And so that to me is kind of encouraging. This is on breakermag.com. The Samsung Galaxy S10's crypto wallet doesn't support Bitcoin. This is by David Z. Morris, and it was authored on the 11th of March 2019. So yes, penis. Samsung has revealed more details about the cryptocurrency capabilities of the Galaxy S10, its new flagship phone. The most striking detail? Its native wallet won't support Bitcoin, at least not out of the gate. The phone's wallet, known as the Samsung Blockchain Wallet, will instead initially support only Ethereum and Ethereum-derived tokens, according to a CoinDesk report. This follows leaked images of a purported crypto wallet in January and official confirmation in February that the Galaxy S10 would support the secure storage of crypto private keys through a function called Samsung Knox. Limiting the wallet to Ethereum assets is sensible enough from a technical perspective, allowing unified onboarding of a large number of tokens with interchangeable back-end requirements. This reduces the chances of a security flaw or other bug in the wallet. Whatever the technical reasoning, the exclusion of Bitcoin from the app, which CoinDesk says is already available in the Samsung App Store, is surprising. Leaving Bitcoin out of arguably the highest profile mass market crypto product yet is a significant slight to the original blockchain-based currency and the so-called maximalists who believe more or less that Bitcoin will someday become the world's dominant currency. Prior phones have featured built-in crypto key storage, but have had much smaller markets than the S10 is likely to achieve. As if to pour salt on the wound, Samsung's wallet does include support for two unproven, little-known crypto tokens: a game-focused coin called Engine Coin, ENJ, and a cosmetics token called Cosme, COSM. Engine Coin is tied to Engine, a well-regarded web services platform for gamers, and the coin is pitched as a universal micropayments and digital collectible system for gaming. That's a use case that has been widely discussed in the crypto sector, and Samsung integration could make it seamless to integrate with mobile games that use the currency. Cosme, at least at first glance, has a less impressive pitch, offering rewards for beauty product reviews, something like Dentacoin for cosmetics. Both Ethereum-based tokens have seen massive price rallies in recent days, comparable to the impact new exchange listings once had on obscure tokens. For better or worse, that conjures up memories of the manic hype and compulsive day trading rampant during the 2017 crypto bubble. There is some unambiguously positive news though. In addition to supporting Cosme and Engine, the S10's blockchain wallet will interface with established applications, including the CoinDuck payment protocol and the CryptoKitties collectible/game system. Making payments accessible to newbies has huge potential to drive real-world crypto adoption, while collectibles, as totally without real utility as they may be, have more than proven their ability to get people excited about blockchain. About cryptocurrencies. Blockchains are the result of the miners. They're not the driver for them. Anyway, continuing on. So yeah, there you have it. There's some forward movement with regard to the portals available for people to onboard with. However, apparently it's in flux enough with regard to Bitcoin. They're not sure whether it's really going to scale off chain or on chain. And I really think at this point it's becoming clear that off-chain solutions are great for something in-house, but not necessarily something that you would be wanting to use outside of that context. And I think in the longer term, on-chain scaling is probably going to be exactly where it goes. We already know it works. Bitcoin Cash and BSV prove it every day, so the remaining resistance, whatever there may actually be out there, I think will go away in a relative quickness, especially if Bitcoin gets up there again between that $8,000 and $12,000 price. It gets back up there again. People are going to be changing their fucking tune about this. Oh yeah, I'm going to host my own fucking node. With the same amount of money that you could buy one of those Casa nodes with, you can afford 2 miners. Really, look it up out there. You can buy 2 ASIC miners for the same price as a $300 Casa node. I mean, sure, it's going to take up a little bit more electricity, but at least you have the chance of an actual positive return on it, as opposed to just handing your Bitcoin over to somebody else to hold. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. And, I don't play enough Anthrax. I gotta fix that. And so here it is. Fight 'em till you can't. Here on Coin Metal. And that was Dope with Survive. Anywho, one thing that has always stood out to me in crypto is that it's not what people say they're gonna do, it's what people actually do. It's like we've heard all kinds of seemingly FUD reports about goings on in China. We've seen claims of them being true. We've seen claims of them not being true, and often in spans of months in between. So it's like, what the fuck is true? Personally, what I believe is that people are just doing what the fuck they were doing yesterday, as long as they can get away with it. If they were able to get away with it yesterday, they're doing it today too. And so the idea that over a global span you're going to manage that activity is, I think it's counterproductive, honestly. I think we should be devoting way more attention to trying to interface the current digital market with the future digital market, which I consider crypto to be. It's like, I consider crypto to be like the new money. And not just Bitcoin, and not just Ethereum or any of those I mean cryptocurrencies in general. The neat thing about them being, for the most part, there's some that actually have some sort of like democratic or political kind of interface with them, but most cryptocurrency products are pretty government agnostic. It's more a matter of what resource of this area can contribute to the diversity of the cryptosphere. Do they have cheap electricity? If so, let's go ahead and throw a mining plant in there. Do they have a lot of brain power? Well, hell, let's try and create a startup incubator over there. I mean, these things, though, they don't tend to happen because somebody's throwing money at them. And as a matter of fact, it seems to me that most of the projects that are inflated by some exogenous source of stimulus, i.e. some sort of VC funding or something like that, they tend to run the rail until they've run out of VC money, and the VCs are no longer willing to extend another round of funding, and they go up in smoke. They either have to sell off to their creditors, such as the case with Poloniex, or go under, and there are just too many to name there. But the point being that you can't really keep the market afloat without legitimate demand. There's reports occasionally of rampant wash trading in cryptocurrencies, and there has been instances of this, and I'm not denying it. However, I would say that the vast majority of the activity out there is not, in fact, wash trading, but in fact people that are legitimately interested in cryptocurrencies. Where I see the failing is the lack of attempt, and Verge does a good job of this, of trying to foster relationships between cryptocurrencies and merchants. This is money. It's international money. So if you can use it as an international monetary unit, why couldn't you conduct international commerce with it? I don't see any prohibition. Let's go for it. Anyway, so I got this thing here. It's on theblockcrypto.com. That's a weird name. Smoke and mirrors. More reports of rampant wash trading detected among large crypto exchanges. This is by Ryan Todd, authored, I'm sure it was longer than an hour ago. Hold on a moment. Got to reload the page so we can figure out exactly when this thing was authored. 7 hours ago. There we go. And clearly by the name, yes, Penis. Another week, another report that further details the excessive presence of wash trading across crypto exchanges. Crypto Integrity, a project aimed at fraud detection and forensics within the crypto markets, released a report that analyzed real order book depth on select liquid trading pairs, found that up to 88% of reported volumes in February were artificial at some of the highest reported volume exchanges. Wow. Let's check that out. On some of the less liquid trading pairs, the group estimates up to 100% of the volume is fake. While echoing similar findings aggregated by CoinVenture's liquidity report, which found that 2 of the top 5 reported liquidity pairs have less than 1% of their actual reported volumes, Crypto Integrity has offered new raw data which aggregated the sum total of trades that happened materially higher than the best ask / lower than the best bid, i.e. out of spread trade, and trades that happened at prices materially lower than best ask / higher than the best bid, i.e. in spread trades. Top reported trading volume in February across crypto exchanges. Crypto Integrity adjustments for the wash trade. They've got a couple of graphs here, really neat graphs. The forensic shop believes the three most likely mechanisms to drive wash trading include: number one, in-spread trades without limit orders. Exchanges just flat out report fake trades with no change in order books. As long as there are no limit orders in the order book, exchanges can engage in this practice without risk of someone hitting the order. Number two, in-spread trades with short-lived limit orders. Not necessarily malicious activity, as ARB and high-frequency trading traders can exhibit this behavior by hitting orders quickly, which can lead to the benefit of higher spreads and liquidity. However, when a majority of volume comes from orders present in the book for milliseconds, something is amiss. Yeah, I think you can only manage those kind of speeds from within the system, right? Anyway, continuing on. Number three, trades near bid-ask caused by short-lived limit orders. A more sophisticated wash trading mechanism is to give the appearance of more organic flow by producing sell orders near the best bid and buy orders near the best ask. An example, a limit order of 0.5 Bitcoin hit by a market order of 0.5 Bitcoin after 50 milliseconds can be easily classified as a wash trade. From the sample size, these exchanges exhibited three clearest wash trading mechanisms in February, according to CI. Oh, I'm not seeing any of the exchanges I was operating with. But there's like OKX, BitZ, ZB.com, Coinbean, LBank, Huobi Global. Interesting. BW, HitBTC, IDAX, Bitmart, CoinTiger, and yeah, interesting. Finally, the report measured liquidity metrics across the sample of exchanges by analyzing handy liquidity, cumulative volume in an order book at remote prices. More liquid assets have higher handy liquidity, bid-ask spread. Best bid-ask spread with more liquid assets having narrower spreads, and weighted bid-ask spreads for 10 Bitcoin. Using Coinbase Pro as a benchmark proxy as an exchange that reports higher levels of volume, but actually offers the liquidity to boot, many of the top reported volume exchanges clearly weren't providing the level of liquidity one would expect given respective reported volumes. At 1 billion per asset pair? Wow, that's a lot of money. There are known issues with market data. The summary of liquidity by exchange, Bitcoin USDT symbol. Green means high and red means low liquidity. Coinbase serves as the only as a benchmark. Let's see. Yeah, and apparently they're the only one in the green across the board. Interesting. Some believe it's only a matter of time before the bear market shakes out these bad acting exchanges. Chintan Sheth, a quant researcher at SeedCX, told the block, quote, "I expect more consolidation going on with exchanges, with hundreds of exchanges out there and massive volume reductions across the board from 2018. It makes sense why they've resorted to wash trading. It's only a matter of time where they can't keep up with expenses and they fold over. Eventually, you'll have just actual flow." I would agree, and I would also disagree. You know, for the most part, when we start seeing issues with exchanges, it's usually with things like withdrawals and deposits. You know, you make a deposit and your sum isn't showing up in your account. You try to make a withdrawal, your transaction doesn't go through or takes unreasonably long to clear. You know, and usually what happens is when people experience this, they share it on social media, and they share it in other mediums, such as chat applications, IRC, Discord, all those. And they share their experiences. They post them up on Reddit. And other investors that are serious about their shit refer back to that. That's why stuff like that report that Ledger put out is so very important to the cryptosphere. Is that it allows us to make more informed decisions about how we're going to store our funds, what exchanges we should be trading with, which ones are suspect. And regardless of how many regulatory agencies there are out there, not a single one of them can help you protect your funds and your investment better than other peers of yours on these exchanges. When they're experiencing issues with withdrawing their funds, you got to pay attention to them. You got to say to yourself, "Hey, do I have any funds with those guys? Well, if so, I might want to consider withdrawing them." I'll give you a perfect example of this was Cryptopsy. It's a fantastic exchange for many years. Or, no, I guess 2 or 3 years. It was a really good exchange for a while. And then all of a sudden they weren't. But there were plenty of warning signs up to about 2 to 4 months prior to their final folding. And the first place I saw any kind of warning was on Twitter. And the only reason that I got my funds out in time, or any of my funds out in time, was the warnings that I had received from people on IRC, people on Twitter, and elsewhere, telling me, "Hey man, I'm having trouble getting my Bitcoin out. You might want to withdraw whatever funds you can in altcoins and get the funk out. Get them over to a better exchange, get them into a wallet, do something else, don't leave them there." And unfortunately, I was only able to get back, I want to say probably about 50% of my no, maybe a little less. I would say probably closer to a third of all of the funds that I had stored on Cryptopsy. That was my own fault. If I had been listening to the initial warnings that I was receiving, I probably would have taken action a lot sooner and received more of my funds back. But again, that's a failure on my part, not because I didn't receive warnings. But none of the warnings that I got came from the SEC or the CFTC or the FDIC or any of the other regulatory agencies, the NYDFS. None of them gave me adequate warning to get any of my money out of Cryptopsy. So the idea that these organizations are somehow going to reliably regulate cryptocurrencies is foolhardy at best. And just dangerous at worst. We have not seen the end of the Quadriga CX drama. I assure you that will come up again in the not so distant future, where people's identification and all their AML KYC data will be disseminated along with all their transaction data and all that other shit to darknet markets. And it will place 115,000 Canadians or other clients. I don't know if they just service Canada or that 115,000 people actually consisted of solely Canadians. However, I would wager that it was probably the vast majority of their clientele were in fact Canadian citizens. That being how it is, that information, and you all that do have exchange accounts, that there's a depth of fucking information that they require of you, or that they ask of you. And so this is a case where the standards set by previous experiences with fully regulated exchanges and fully accountable exchanges set up a significant number of potential victims at this point for a massive theft of their data, at least a compromise of the security of it. And shit like their personal addresses, their phone numbers, their rounding numbers for their bank accounts, their credit card information, their social security number in the case of some people in the United States that are VPNing or whatever. Well, I don't know that went on or anything like that, but the point being is it put a lot of people in danger that they never had to have. When I first signed up for my Coinbase account, all I needed was my email address and a receive address when I wanted to withdraw some funds. When I signed up for my first Cryptopsy account, that's all that was needed. They didn't ask me for my license and all that shit initially. I think there was a point towards the end there that they started asking for that shit, but the point being that none of these measures have done anything to actually increase our security. Our being the users of cryptocurrencies. It hasn't done anything to improve our security. If arguably it's done a great deal to expose us to a lot of threats that didn't previously exist. I find that unreasonable. I've said it multiple times on this show that there isn't anything that fails 30% of the time or more in digital or hardware stuff that isn't designed in. We can get our specs so tight and our stuff so durable that level of failure just doesn't happen. But in many respects, we choose not to. We choose not to apply the best hardware that we can to certain endeavors. As we read with regard to Ledger's comments on their competitors. I'm not going to just rail off that FUD repeatedly. I think that it's good to be aware of it and whatnot, but, hey, you're aware of it. Do what you can to fix it. To where it's not going to affect you or afflict you. But that's something that you alone can assess. It's not something that somebody else can tell you. I mean, they can set examples and you can choose whether or not you want to listen to them, but that again, the final decision is up to you, and the outcome is, of course, your fault. Let's see here. I don't want to go in that route. We already covered some of this, but I got this other article here on Medium, and this is concerning what we were talking about previously with fake volumes on cryptocurrency markets. And this is by Crypto Integrity, authored on March 8th. Mechanics of wash trading behind the scenes. 88% of crypto trading volume in February 2019 is allegedly inflated. A new report published by the data science team of Crypto Integrity has identified widespread malicious practices across top exchanges. OKX, BitZ, ZB.com, Coinbean, LBank, Huobi Global, BW, HitBTC, IDAX, Bitmart, and CoinTiger. The analysis of order books and trades of selected liquid symbols has shown that on average, per symbol, 86% of trades and 88% of volume have been classified as, quote, artificial, HitBTC and Huobi excluded. On some symbols, the detected fake volume has reached 100%. The details and methodology are below. The article covers the following sections. Number 1, market overview. Number 2, impact of trading volume on price. Number 3, market manipulation practices. Number 4, market data analysis by exchanges with charts. Number 5, liquidity analysis. Number 6, applied methodology. Number 7, data samples. Number 8, known issues. Number 1, the market. There were 241 exchanges by CMC, although the actual number was higher. Out of 241, there were 27 exchanges with zero adjusted volume and 93.5 billion reported volume, 21% of total reported exchange traded volume. These examples are mostly futures exchanges or those with zero or no fees. BitMEX, BitThumb, CoinHood are among the others. Total 30-day volume percentage, 441 billion, 557,467,457 $100%. Excluded 93. The research covers 11 exchanges from the list of leading exchanges ranked by adjusted 30-day volume as of 28th February 2019 by CoinMarketCap. These exchanges counted for 33% of total adjusted volume in February of 2019. Our analysis focuses on several most liquid symbols of each exchange. It is noteworthy that none of these exchanges supports a fiat currency. Our sample is not supposed to be representative, as we intentionally focused on exchanges with suspicious trading activity, as indicated by BTI, CER, and other researchers. However, it gives a good insight into the scale of wash trading in cryptocurrencies. I guess this is content that's embedded from a site that does not comply with the do not track setting now enabled on my browser. Yeah, too bad. Let's show the embed. Maybe. Oh no, it's plot twist. Payment required. Yeah, suck a dick. I ain't paying for anything. Fuck you. 2. Why should I care? The true trading volume is an indicator of the intrinsic price of an asset. The change in trading volume may well be a leading indicator of an asset's future price. Theoretically, market capitalization and price of a cryptocurrency, similar to those of stocks or commodities, depend on the balance of demand and supply. The demand, in turn, depends on the expected investment value, how many people will buy it and hold, and utility value, how many people will use it. In a word, it is about the interest in the technology or utility of a coin and the estimated mass adoption among the retail as well as institutional investors. The higher the interest is, the higher the trading volumes are. Further, the trading volume depends on true liquidity present in order books, among other factors. It is especially important for institutional investors and traders. Mathematically, it may be formulated as follows: and price equals F times V, PL1 through PN, P1 through PN, where V is volume and P is some other parameter. All in all, to make a balanced investment decision, one needs a true understanding of the liquidity and trading volume of an asset. While the traditional financial markets have a number of tools to prevent distortion of market data, the cryptocurrency markets are still vulnerable to malicious practices that mislead investors and traders. I want to say at this point that there's a possibility that they've already introduced here into the entire sample that they took on here was that none of the cryptocurrency exchanges in question actually have a US dollar interface or other fiat interface. This would indicate that they're using proxies such as USDT or other quote-unquote stable coins to mitigate the inability to interface with fiat markets. They can't get fiat bank accounts or whatever to support their own reserves, because of course they are kind of illegitimate in someone's eyes or another. But the point being that the issue itself that they're talking about here could be the fact that they're selling cryptocurrencies for USDT. It's in the exchange pair. That's where the distortion is. That because these cryptocurrency exchanges aren't operating on legitimate volumes of fiat, they're able to distort the volume of quote-unquote fiat they actually have on hand and are able to circulate in-house. And so it could be that they're selling their USDT at a loss against cryptocurrencies to devalue them, to reduce the price of them. And this would kind of, if you were doing it on enough exchanges, you could probably artificially depreciate the price of a cryptocurrency on the open market as well, Bitcoin as well. And so I think that's a potential vector that these guys are just overlooking for whatever reason. It's like, oh, there's this mysterious wash trading going on. No, there's the exchange selling into the market their USDT in exchange for actually mined cryptocurrencies on behalf of their clients. The clients are selling their crypto to them for USDT. Anyway, continuing on, number 3, market manipulation practices. There's a number of malicious trading practices that are prohibited in regulated financial markets. The most common cases are wash trading and disruptive practices such as spoofing, flipping, quote stuffing, etc. In this research, we will focus on wash trading as the most prevailing market abuse in the crypto world. We do plan to cover other topics in other future papers. We have already written about beneficiaries of wash trades in our article Wash Trade in Crypto Markets, a case of BW Exchange. The outstanding question is how wash trading is implemented by fraudulent exchanges in practice. We identify 3 main mechanisms, from the easiest to implement and detect to the hardest. Number 1, spread trades without limit orders. Number 2, in spread trades without limit orders. Number 2, in spread trades with short-lived limit orders. Number 3, trades with near bid-ask caused by short-lived limit orders. In spread trades without limit orders. This practice is the most popular among new unsophisticated exchanges because of its simplicity and riskless. A fraudulent exchange reports a trade while there are no changes in the order book at all. This practice is riskless because there are no limit orders in the order book, even for fractions of a second. Thus, other participants cannot interact with these orders. It is only the exchange itself that can maintain such trading activity. In spread trades with short-lived limit orders. No one is forbidden from placing a limit order at the mid-market price. Such orders make the spread narrower and add liquidity. In contrast, this malicious practice implies only orders that are present in the order book for just milliseconds, so that a human being is unable not only to hit them, but also unable to see them. Strictly speaking, not all short-lived orders are malicious. There are algo traders and arbitrageurs who monitor all incoming orders and quickly hit those that provide them with a trading opportunity. However, the dominance of trades caused by such orders cannot be justified. Trades near bid-ask caused by short-lived limit orders. In order to make the trading flow more organic, advanced wash trading bots have been tuned in a way to produce sell trades near the best bid and buy trades near the best ask. Remember that wash traders have no intention to actually trade with other market participants. In order to minimize this risk, they place limit orders for fractions of a second and then hit them with aggressive ones. Of course, a limit order of 0.5 Bitcoin hit by a market order of 0.5 Bitcoin after 50 milliseconds can easily be classified as a wash trade. Thus, the scammers try to add noise. Number 1. Place limit orders of different sizes. Number 2. Place aggressive orders of different sizes, both more and less than the size of a resting order. Number 3. Place limit orders with different life duration. Number 4. Place aggressive orders with different life duration, applicable in cases where the size of an aggressive order is bigger than the size of a resting order, so that the aggressive order is partially filled and becomes a new resting order, etc. Number 4. Exchanges. The following charts show some examples of the suspicious trading activity on the selected exchanges with a short comment. The identified mechanisms of producing suspicious trading activity were summed up in a table below. There are certain issues with the market data from Huobi and HitBTC, read more at the end of the article, which have forced us to exclude those two exchanges. And it's got a neat little graph. OKX, and it gives us more graphs. The algorithm has detected in-spread trades in some symbols. The more thorough analysis of short-lived orders is required, and that's on OKX. Yeah, I'm not going to go through all of that. They got a series of charts showing us very multiple coins and activities and all that, and that's really cool if that's what you want to actually study. But ooh, wait a minute. This one is Ether USDT on CoinTiger. Yeah, that one looks pretty interesting. USDT on CoinTiger. EOS USD. All of them look pretty uniform. I don't know. Interesting. 5. Liquidity. The system calculates 3 liquidity metrics. Handy liquidity is the cumulative volume in an order book at levels remote from the naive mid-market price by 0.5% or less. More liquid assets have higher handy liquidity. Bid-ask spread percent is calculated as best bid-ask to best bid divided by best ask plus bid divided by 2 times 100. More liquid assets have narrower bid-ask spreads. Bid-ask spread by 10 Bitcoin percentage is calculated as bid to ask divided by bid plus bid, ask plus bid divided by 2 times 100, where ask and bid are weighted average prices for aggregated volume of 10 Bitcoin. More liquid assets have narrower spreads. A neat little chart. Surprisingly, Bitmart had the highest handy liquidity during the observed period. OKX had good estimated values of all 3 metrics. However, further analysis may be required, as displayed liquidity may not be equal to truly accessible liquidity. Some fraudulent exchanges allegedly display a specific type of limit order that cannot be hit by other market participants. Number 6. Methodology. The system analysis market data collected via native API of every selected exchange. Market data consists of order books with updates if applicable and trades. Definitions of a suspicious trade. Wash trade. Number 1. If a trade happens at a price higher than the best ask or lower than the best bid, such a trade is deemed to be, quote, out of spread trade. Number 2. If a trade happens at a price lower than the best ask or higher than the best bid, such a trade is deemed to be in spread trade. Number 3. Other trades which happen at the best bid or ask prices are deemed to be decent trades. Total artificial trades are the sum of out-of-spread and in-spread trades. Total artificial volume is the sum of the volume of total artificial trades. The overall statistics are calculated as follows. Number 1, calculate the share of total artificial volume of total artificial trades per symbol per exchange. Number 2, calculate the arithmetical average, not volume-weighted average, of these shares of total artificial volume and of total artificial trades across all selected symbols of all supported exchanges. Due to potential issues with data collection and time synchronization, our algorithm may detect artificial trades when there is no such wash trading. Type 1 false positive error. We have considered Coinbase Pro as a benchmark for 100% organic flow. However, the algorithm has detected minor anomalies. Let's see here. And there are minor ones there. Data samples. As mentioned above, we have analyzed several selected symbols, which are marked in the following table. The analysis is made on randomly selected data samples, both in February and at the beginning of March 2019. Let's see, all of them are USDT. Yeah, all of the metrics here are on USDT. Our research is based on the analysis of the raw trade data, trades in order books. We saved 10 ask and bid levels of an order book. There are 3 types of market data protocols. Number 1, full order log, usually via FIX, ITCH, WS, etc. The most detailed type provides the history of every single order, its placement time, its execution or cancellation. Number 2, level 2 updates, usually via FIX, ITCH, WS, etc. provide every single update snapshot of an order book up to end price levels. The update is a change in an aggregate size at a particular price level. Number 3, level 2 snapshots, usually via WS and REST, provide a state of an order book at the moment of a snapshot. It may be designed by an exchange, ergo Bittrex pushes MD updates every 1 second via WS, or constrained by the protocol and rate limits of an exchange. Yobit limits the number of requests to get an order book snapshot to 100 per minute. Few exchanges report a timestamp of an order book. In these cases, we've used our local server time for both order books and trades, i.e., the time when either an order book or a trade was received to our server. Here's a summary of MD protocols by exchange, and that's some content that we can't read, and we're not going to bother to pay them, so fuck them. The more detailed data we have at hand, the more scrutinous and elaborate research we can do. Timestamps with milliseconds of both order books and trades is stamped by an exchange are required in order to precisely match order books and trades. Poor data quality makes it harder to detect market manipulations. Therefore, as a rule of thumb, the trustworthiness of exchanges with better APIs is higher. 8. Known issues. Huobi. Although the API documentation claims the subscriber will receive updates upon any change, we have observed that in fact market data updates via WebSockets API are aggregated and pushed with 1 second frequency. It means that A, the orders with the life duration of less than 1 second, which were placed and filled/cancelled between two updates, are absent. B, the actual time when an order was placed, filled, or cancelled is unknown. Hit BTC. Although API documentation claims that each update will be pushed, we have observed that the market data updates via WebSockets API are aggregated and pushed with 100 millisecond frequency, or a multiple of 100 milliseconds. The implications are similar to those of Huobi. In addition, we have faced an issue with missing updates of order cancellation, which may have led to incorrect construction of a bid-ask spread and consequently incorrect statistics. P.S. We would like to remind you that our fraud detection algorithm is public and accessible in our GitHub repository. Feel free to check it out and report any mistakes you may find. Let's see what the response are, if there's any. Great read. Unfortunately, I feel like this methodology will end up giving more legitimacy than is due to. Read more. Let's see. This is by Sylvian Artplay Vibes. Number 6 methodology. The system analysis market data collected via the native API of every selected exchange. Market data consists of order books with updates if applicable and trades. Definition of a suspicious trade, wash trade. If a trade happens at a higher price and best ask, blah blah blah. Okay. Unfortunately, I feel like this methodology will end up giving more legitimacy than is due to many of these exchanges. All the more so because the block reported on your findings without being more specific about the methodology and its potential flaw. That best bid or best ask trades are absolutely not guaranteed to be legit, as I'm sure you realize. Ergo, ZB is shown to have 33% of its total volume as organic because orders are actually filled in a legit-looking fashion that would still place them among the market leaders. However, a mere peek at their trading tape and volume chart, even on their most active markets, below Ethereum/Bitcoin, shows that their actual volume is virtually zero. Interesting. There's always been some motherfucker out there trying to manipulate shit, and exchanges have always been a big target for that. Now, whether or not their documentation and their methodologies are absolutely correct, I'm not going to say because I didn't do the study, honestly. So, there you go. But nonetheless, I think it's important that people are watching the markets like this, because there has been plenty of call for such kind of monitoring, simply because we're suspicious individuals, man. We want a fucking fair game, or as fair as can be made possible, you know. But as of yet, to date, we've never seen where there's been a regulator that has been able to clearly define some shit to where it's like everything is 100% clean and whatever. And mostly because a lot of people simply just do not want to comply with a lot of the requirements that are being asked of them just to be regulated exchanges. And most of those being with regard to like data accumulation and retention, which, if you really think about it, is kind of counterproductive, you know. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. And I've been wanting to play something off of this album ever since I got it. I've loved every song on this before, and I just got it in CD form, so I gotta play it. Exodus, Impact is Imminent, here on Coin Metal. And that was Cold Chamber with Big Truck. And it is with that then I'd like to close out this episode. Thank you very, very much for listening. I certainly do appreciate the support. We will be back again on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so until then, I'd like you all to trade safe. Do your homework. And watch out for your own bunghole, because nobody else is going to do it for you. And as far as our last dance is concerned, I haven't actually selected anything, so we're just going to scan. We haven't played that. We played that. We haven't played that in a while, but we're not going to play that tonight. Let's see here. Last dance. It's got to be something short, something sweet, and something we really like. So here it is. Unsung Last Dance here on Coin Metal. Thank you again for listening, and you all have an excellent evening. Good night.